each month we do a different type of power day. And this one I was thinking like new construction. Do you truly know your new construction? And do you know how to find the relationships if you want to get affiliated with buyers, with builders, right? Because at the end of the day, builders always have a constant supply of inventory. They're not your one and dones, right? So how do we make that happen? So I'm going to share my screen and I'm just going to pull up the document that you have. And we're going to go through this. So essentially, the goal of this is to visit 25 new construction sites and to build some relationships with builders and developers. Now, has anyone in the room actually sold a new construction?
I don't think I have.
Good.
No, I closed on two that were already built that someone had to back out of. So they were already like, I didn't go through the whole process, but it was essentially a new construction. We still did the inspection.
Yep.
Well, I met the builder, it was different because the builder's like involved.
Yeah. And you didn't have the fun of picking out all of the sidings and
Yeah.
the kitchen countertops. And that's essentially the blessing and the curse of working new construction is that you're more hands off because
Mhm.
the buyer works directly with the builder and your job is to oversee it. The biggest bottleneck in new construction is the timeline of when the home actually gets finished.
Yeah, when it's actually done.
Yeah, absolutely. So our power month is to go visit 25 new construction sites or development projects. And when we say this, it could be a one-off where it's just a piece of land that a builder's building on, or a full development project. We were talking about how West Hartford has a lot of new construction going on right now with apartment buildings and taking old buildings and renovating them into something new. So there's a huge amount of opportunity. So the core activities of your mission for this week is to meet with builders. Meet with builders for a couple of different reasons. Number one, usually if they're in the MLS, they have a relationship with a broker. However, that relationship is really with the either the development or the house that's on the market currently. There's an opportunity for you to build a relationship, and when something new comes to the plate, then you could potentially be that agent, right? So just because they're listed with an agent, you can still build rapport for future opportunities. So your goal is to schedule face-to-face meetings with project managers, sales directors if they're bigger, and builders if they're small projects. Now, would you say you have subdivisions being built in your areas?
There's a couple.
Okay. How many units would you say are in there?
Um, I think the last one I saw had 7 to 10. The last two or three I saw had 7 to 10, but then there's a couple big ones like was it Carrier? Carrier is trying to do a pretty large one. And then there's one in Simsbury that should be finishing up soon that they've been working on intermittently for like 2.5 years.
Simsbury.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, and that
I
one
didn't
has
even
like
know
over
her.
30 of them. And there's a particular woman who represents that group who's there a lot, like her, yeah.
Yeah,
They're
and
growing.
so the question is,
We usually have somewhere between like 3 and 10 because the lots of land that they get, they're buying 10 acres, they're splitting it up, like, I don't know.
yeah. So the opportunity that we have with new construction, specifically to the market we're in right now, is a lot of builders are in relationship with the lender that gets them a lower interest rate because the buyer makes a deal with those lenders to pay down the interest rate.
Gotcha.
And the thing to know when you're figuring out the commission aspect of it is you write it into the offers just like you do with the new construction. So if you bring somebody, and this has been the way with builders for years and years and years, which is how the rest of the market is now, is they just added whatever your professional fee was right to the building cost,
Yeah.
right? So there is an opportunity for you to get paid, and you just have to be competitive if you're in a multiple offer situation. So some of the things is attend the open houses, join the local builder associations and the networking groups. Just like anything else, there are associations specific for the home builders, just like there are for landlords and everything else. And then set up quarterly check-ins with the top 10 builders. Now, remember, if they're listed with someone, you can't solicit that listing, but that
Yeah.
doesn't mean you can't call that builder and say, hey, I know you have 123 Main Street with this agent. Is there anything else that you're thinking about putting on the market? And would you like to try some new blood? Right? Just because one subdivision is represented by one agent does not mean like you don't have the opportunity.
Yeah.
So in the booklet, there's the questions to ask the builder, right? My favorite question on this list is, what's your pipeline for the next 12 to 18 months? When you ask that question, that's where you get the opportunity. Like, well, I'm going to finish this subdivision of 7 to 10. I have 3 more pieces of land that I'm looking to develop. Well, are you interested in working with another agent? Right? And what is your marketing package to get them interested in you?
Yeah.
I have one agent in Maine. Her father is a developer and he sells $1.2 million is the price point of the houses up there. So she does 4.2 million properties a year and is cool with her income, right?
Yeah.
So there's an opportunity with builders. There's the higher end builders. There's the different.
She's
And
making it after everything, like 80 netting for 4 properties a year.
Right. Right.
After profit loss, which she probably has very little loss because it's there. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like she's out searching and hunting, you know what I mean? Like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
I want my daddy to be a builder.
Well, find somebody. It doesn't have to be your family member. And that's where we go next, right? So here's the next piece is there's different types of construction. You have your active construction projects, your pre-construction planning phases, right? Those are the people that are in development. Your move-in ready communities, which is exactly what you talked about before, Rosemary. And then there's the luxury custom, which, yes, please. If I could sell 4 $1.5 million houses, that takes the stress off of me, right? And then there's affordable first-time home buyer projects, which I think are hugely important right now because there's not enough, affordable housing. So these are all different opportunities, right? When you get there, your goal is, okay, so now we're going to do a site visit checklist. You're going to check the quality of the construction, assess the materials, because not all builders are equal. I've seen some really great builders that are top notch, and then I've seen some that I'm surprised the house is still standing, right? Model home walkthroughs with the sales team. This gives you an opportunity if you're looking to break through this and you walk through with a salesperson, you're learning how they talk about their new construction, which helps you with your ability to talk new construction when you get your opportunity. Then you have amenities, community features, right? I have one subdivision in Maine that it's a quote unquote seasonal. It's only open 10 months out of the year. However, they have swimming pools and they have hiking trails and they have a place where you can go kayaking, a man-made pond, right? All of these cool things. So what are the amenities that people are looking for? Do, like, in today's market, and we were talking about this before with like what younger buyers are looking for, they want walkability. They don't want to have to get into a car and go to a restaurant. They want to be able to walk to the restaurant. They want to be able to walk to the hiking trails or whatever it is where you can, be part of the land. They want to have a water feature that they can play with. So pricing and upgrade options too, right? So these are all the things that you're going to look at: traffic patterns, accessibility analysis. I know this sounds crazy, but is it in a flight zone? Like, I live in Maine and I lived in Portland, and I lived in one house that was on top of the airport. So I was always hearing the planes coming and going. And then I was in other areas that they weren't. So what is the traffic patterns, not only on the ground, but in the air? And do they have, if it's somebody that's looking for community transportation, do they have community transportation? And then what's future development phases, right? There's a subdivision, I think they're on phase 7. which if a buyer wants something where it's completely quiet, does it make sense to be in an area that there's gonna be 150 homes and there's gonna be construction for the next 10 years? These are all the
Mm.
things to think of when you're thinking about how do I make sure that I am the number one agent when it comes to construction and development.
With that being said, though, when people are worried about being one of the first ones in, like not my whole life, but I grew up in a house where we were one of the first ones in a complex. We bought our land first and then slowly paid what we need to pay for it over time. They started construction. We were like the third or fourth to start, but we were the first lot bought. While there was construction for 2 or 3 years around us, what I will say is my parents bought a 3,100 square foot house for $2,400. By the time halfway was built, they were already valued at like 4.5 to 5.
Yeah.
So like when you're the first one in a complex and that complex starts to explode, the customization went away after the 10th, 11th, 12th house because they're like, oh, nope, now we have to do builder grade. We have to like, these are your 3 options, period. So like the customize it was gone. So we got the custom house with the custom layout and the custom floor plan to whatever changes they wanted, and it was 240. Where like it being early on, like when people are like, I don't want to hear the construction, I'm like, you're gonna pay the least amount of anybody who's behind you. And they're like, oh, okay.
It's
And
instant
you have the
equity.
most choice, and you're gonna have the closest relationship with the builder, and there's benefits there that people don't realize.
Yep.
But you have a lot more freedom when you're one of the first.
Well, and it's absolute instant equity.
Mhm.
When you buy the first house, usually like I have a builder in Kennybunk right now who he started the 990 is the first house, and now he's at 2.4 on house number 12. So what
Yeah.
is that 990 house? How much equity has that 990 house built by being the first one in the subdivision?
200%. It's
Right?
it's
It's
100%
insane.
over what it was. Yeah.
Yeah. And these are the things like
5, 6 years later. Yeah.
when you know these things, it helps you be a better agent for your buyers.
Yeah, because your buyers aren't thinking about that. They're looking at the now, and we're always
Mhm.
supposed to be looking at the return on investment, short term and long term. And then, hey, heaven forbid, catastrophe strikes. What position would you be in 6 months or 4 years from now? And like,
Exactly.
they don't think about that part. When you
Yep.
show somebody that a purchase is safe, they're like not scared of it anymore.
100%. So we touched on this a minute. What are the incentives, right? Is there building closing cost credits? I love, and this is another thing builders do, is they'll turn around and say, I want 990 for the house, but I'll give you a $20,000 building credit. Right? So the house, they're getting the value of the house is 990 for the MLS, and the buyer gets $20,000 builder's credit.
Gotcha. So it makes the builder on paper higher and the seller
Exactly.
gets. And then 20 credit can go towards closing costs or finishes, right? They can put that 20 into upgrades.
They could put it into anything, or they could put it into buying down the cost of
Right.
the house.
Okay.
Yeah. So you have your rate buy downs, which we talked about, your upgrade allowances. That's the other thing. Your upgrade allowances when you're first in are a lot better than when you're last in.
Right.
Seasonal promotions and limited offers. Again, being the first in, I've watched this one builder bring on 7 or 8 different subdivisions and over the last 10, 15 years. And his beginning seasonal promotion or limited time offers for the first couple of houses is always beat out everybody else. And then you have agent commission structures, right? The compensation structure and the bonuses. That is all figured into the price, so you don't even have to stress about it. Then you have the move-in specials and timing incentives. I've seen builders, especially when the market shifts, I've seen builders pay for a year of propane, pay for like the installation of TVs, right? All of those things. There's opportunities if you ask the right questions.
What about our commissions? Like you said, when you're multiple offers, you gotta be competitive. So say there's this woman, we'll call her Shirley. Shirley works for blah, blah, blah brokerage, and Shirley basically owns this builder, right?
Yep.
And I go and meet builder, and builder's like, hey, you're fun, and you're probably going to be cheaper than Shirley because Shirley's been with me for 35 years, and Shirley's gotten a little complacent. So what would be reasonable, knowing that they're turning our fee, they're rolling our fee into the purchase price essentially? Like what is competitive in this scenario? What do we offer other than the typical residential real estate stuff I know? How responsible are we for the marketing of this? I get that we have to be at the open houses, that they're like showrooms. I get like that's an hourly, you know, you're there when you're supposed to be there, whatever. I get that part. You're fielding every call, you're taking every lead, every advertisement, you're directing it. I get that. That part's fine. But like, you know, you see these listing package boxes that have like all the branding and they're cute, right? And that to people is part of their value proposition. It's wrapped in a pretty package. But like, what do we reasonably charge, and what do I offer other than I'm just gonna do, I'm gonna be your errand boy plus, which isn't great, but that's kind of what I'm
Yep.
be your, other than Shirley. Shirley has her system and Shirley's done what she's done.
Yep.
How do
Well,
I,
the question is, this, and whether you're new construction or a residential house, you have 3 levels of marketing. Which one would you like?
okay,
And I will tell you at the end of the
did I allow Chat GPT to tell me what those are? Because that's what I mean, I don't even know what would be considered for
yes.
new construction world. I don't know what that looks like. I know what it looks like for what I know how to do every day right now.
So our friend,
God, I was gonna say
Friend-
Chat GPT.
yeah, our friend Claude has not been playing nice, so we may need to flip it over. Actually, I am just gonna flip it over to chat. Because Claude has not been playing nice lately, so he's not my friend anymore.
Mhm.
So essentially I'm gonna say, I'm a real estate agent.
Following it.
I'm a real estate agent
Say like, you know your value proposition, but they don't tell you how to, what to do.
working with builders. I want to create 3 levels of service that will come with an undefined, because we don't talk commissions, undefined compensation amount.
We can talk commissions in this room because we're all KW in Connecticut, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We can.
Right.
can't
And I'm not gonna, I'm recording this, so.
Oh,
and
I
I'll
get
put it
it.
On Facebook. Yeah. So it's literally gonna give you level basic listing, market, level 2 market and sales, level 3.
And if I don't know how to do some of this stuff, I guess I just find people to leverage it, meaning like website management, blah, 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 blah. I'm not gonna do that crap, but I can have someone who does. And I just pay for them, therefore I need to make sure I'm compensated on the back.
100%. Create this with more detail and in a PDF. Because you're 100% right. And I will tell you that most builders want to own the website. So they're willing to have you do the work behind the website, and they'll pay for it.
Okay.
If they want to own it. So now I have them, because this is boring, right? So I want them to come up with a little bit more detail.
Just a little couple sentences each thing to highlight exactly what that means.
Yep. The other thing I would do with this is I would absolutely put in here the builder personality is whatever the disc is, and then have them build it out, right? And the other thing is, since you have your computer in front of you, give me a subdivision in Connecticut right now. Like, go into MLS and find a subdivision in Connecticut.
That's currently building.
Yeah.
One in West Hartford's huge. It's got like 100 units.
All you have to do is go in and do year built 2025, and everything will populate. Because what we're gonna do is, what I'm gonna show you with AI is, what you can do is literally build a personalized marketing plan to that specific subdivision. Like, AI will build that whole thing for you without you even having to think about it.
Greater Hartford, there's 80 total. There's
a couple in Berlin, Prospect Avenue, West Hartford might be what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, what do you want me to do?
Just give me one subdivision that's currently being built.
Rockwell Landing, pending verification.
Okay. So I'm gonna go into chat. And I'm gonna say, take a look at Rockwell Landing.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
At 409 Prospect Avenue, West Hartford.
Yeah, that went up overnight too.
Mm-hmm.
Prospect what?
Prospect Avenue, 409 Prospect Avenue, West Hartford.
So now what I'm doing is I'm telling it, take a look at Rockwell Landing at 409 Prospect Avenue in Westford, Hartford. Give me your insights.
Hey,
Over here.
yeah, she wants to sit on this side, so. we
I
meet
can
all-
see her there. That's good. You're fine right there.
That's pretty good. Thank you. You're welcome.
So now it's literally pulling up all the information on the property. So Rockwell Landing is a boutique 9-unit luxury townhome community currently under construction located at 409. Unit mix is 3 bedrooms, 3.5 baths. Price point, 4 bedrooms, 3.5 baths, point by location and benefits, investment and pricing context, right? Townhomes priced approximately 277 to 394. For context, older homes in adjacent historic areas may see 300 to 400 square foot. Rockwell Landing sits at an upper end of local market. So this right here, buying a new construction is cheaper than buying an existing home. Then it says buyer appeal and marketing position. Agent
Well-
strategic.
Am I missing something? What do you mean it's cheaper than buying an existing home?
So essentially the townhomes priced approximately $277 to $394 per square foot. For context, older homes in adjacent historic areas may see $300 to $400 per square foot.
What's the-
So
It's a townhome versus a single family. They're not the same, but I get what you mean. It's not the same.
I
It's a
hear
new
you and
construction Townhome, not a new construction, single family, not the same.
agreed. We're gonna do another one on that one. So now
But
it's gonna say,
Buyer doesn't care, then. Yeah.
well, and it's specifically in your market, do you have you in North Dakota, right? Your two states have not seen an increase in properties. You've seen an increase in properties, but you're still negative,
Mm-hmm.
right? So that means people, when they see a townhome, if they've been waiting for a house for 3 years, they're gonna suck it up and buy a townhome and wait till the market cleans up, and then they're gonna sell their townhome and buy another property.
And for the record, this townhome is what we were discussing earlier. It's walkable to a lot of things.
Yeah. So
Not the-
agent strategic
best.
takeaways, right? Pricing strategy, buyer targeting, marketing focus, competitive edge, negotiation, and so builders can offer incentives, right? So it's giving you all the information that you would tell a buyer. Then it goes down here, final thoughts. Rockwell Landing offers a compelling blend of local location, luxury, and variety with proper positioning toward upscale buyers seeking modern convenience in a vibrant West Hartford setting. These units stand to attract solid interest and swift movement. Pricing aligns well with the market's success, hinges on highlighting new builds. Would you like tailored marketing brochure? No, what I want to do is say, I am a real estate agent, and this builder is interviewing me to list the properties.
Can we also note something in this chat about, that area is becoming what would be the equivalent of gentrification, like for us, right? Like West Hartford, like gentrification, yes, because it's right on that line where they're trying to turn Parkville into like another West Hartford center.
Yep.
It's on the Hartford, West Hartford line. So that also is like when you're the earliest one in, a few years from now, when all of that stuff is renovated, grants go into the Hartford side to upgrade things, businesses come in there, restaurants come in there, bars come in there.
Yeah.
all of that is, again, a few years from now, they're going to have a higher appreciation than they would in another location because everything around it is coming up directly after them.
All right, I will definitely put that into this. So I'm saying I'm a real estate agent and this builder is interviewing me to list the properties. His disc personality is, we're gonna make this up, ID, right?
Okay.
And we want to focus on
Oh, we're just
the
over it.
fact that the property
Still coming from.
is located in an area that is up and coming.
Like Bluegrass Square
So
in
how
West
do we get in a
Hartford.
relationship with builders? How do we? And I
They
said,
had
"Why-
condos, they were going right in Bluegrass
Coming
back, and they were
with-
like $600,000
sell it."
to hire.
area.
Just
improvements.
walking to everything.
What's my value?
All right, so let's see what it has to say.
So we're developing what our marketing strategy, value proposition
Okay.
is and how we can cheat code it to do all the research in the background before we go and meet these builders and go and schmooze.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All right,
Right.
so now when you look at this, it says disc aligned pitch strategy for an ID personality. So key motivators, results in vision, big ideas, and people driven influence. Your goal, make them feel confident that you're the right partner. And then here's some talking points and scripts, right? So 14-day, and then here prove I'm move fast. Here's what I do in the first 14 days. And it literally gives you everything that you would do. And I would say create an in-depth 14-day marketing plan. So to your point of where we started this whole conversation is that, how do you make sure that you're the number one agent? That they don't want to use anybody else with you. And we'll say Shirley, whoever Shirley is, how old is she? How long has she been in the market? Is she just status quo, or does she go over and beyond and really focus on all the cool stuff where that builder could make more money?
Are you asking me?
Yeah,
Let's say Shirley is high 50s, early 60s. She does a ton in that area, so her name is really reputable, but she is clearly on her way out and has been passing off communication with other agents in her office. I mean, like people, she doesn't necessarily have like a team, but she's got like minions.
yep.
So
So-
Shirley's really the point of contact for the client.
So when I'm thinking about how I'm going to become the agent of choice, especially if I'm on the other end of the spectrum where I'm going to be in the business for 20 years, that's a huge opportunity. My goal is to do X, Y, and Z, right? So that's how I would play that 100%. But do you see how like going into AI and creating like a marketing plan? And this comes back to where we had here. What's your pipeline for the next 12 to 18 months? If they have something coming up in the next 12 to 18 months, you can go to the city hall, town hall, and you can find out what they're permitting, like what new construction is in the process of getting permits. And you can go directly to those builders that are in the process of getting permits. So this 12 to 18 months. So then what you could turn around and do is, let's say you go to code or whatever you guys call
Do
it
that.
down there.
Will the town just give us like, hey, who's pulled a permit for 18 months from now? The
All you have to
town-
do it, yeah, 100%.
Okay, all right,
Up in Maine, we call it the code office.
yeah. But if
Yours-
I don't have the name of a plot of land or the name of the builder.
Oh, you
like,
don't need any of
what
that.
do I ask them to pull.
All you have to do is say, hey, are there any builders that have pulled a permit for a new subdivision? And
Okay,
they will literally give you that information. It's public information. You just have to ask for it.
okay,
Absolutely. I mean, we used to do that all the time. There was a time when the need for new construction was so high in Maine, and nobody had anything on the market because the towns were giving us such a hard time on building permits. We would go to the town and say, hey, who requested a building permit? And then we would go directly to that builder and say, hey, could we put a reservation on a lot pending you being able to get your permits. That's another way to be like ahead of the game, right? So this, what's in your pipeline for the 12 to 18 months? If you don't have builder relationships right now, go to town hall and say, who's running permits right now? And then go grab them. Okay. So now here's the next piece is, so far we've talked about visiting 25 new construction sites, what we're looking for, right? The site visits, the different visits that we want to do, because we want to hit all of them to see what we're interested in working with and what we're not interested in working in. Checking out the properties, are they quality builders or are they little less quality, right? What are the amenities? What are the pricing and upgrades? Just having all of that information. Then we talked about, okay, based on that, what are the incentives? And now we're going to talk about, okay, how do we become experts? So when we go, right, what area are you going to focus on? Then what specific product type do you desire to be an expert? This same different, you know, we don't mix commercial land and residential at a high level. You may do an occasional land and occasional residential and occasional commercial. If you're a commercial agent, you do more on the commercial side than you do residential. If you do residential, you do more residential than you do commercial. This is that same thing. What is your expertise when it comes to new construction? Are you looking to do single families, townhomes? Are you interested in adult communities? Do you want to do luxury builds? Like, honestly, luxury builds would be amazing if I only had to do 5 or 6 and make the same amount of money as if I were doing 40. And then mixed use developments and affordable housing initiatives. I feel strongly the affordable housing initiatives are going to be coming back because affordable housing is not there right now and people are looking for it. Then we're looking at, okay, what's the market segmentation specialization, right? So first time home buyer houses somewhere between 300 and 500 in Connecticut. Move up buyers 500 and 800, luxury is 800 plus. Then you have investment properties and you have second home and vacation properties, right? You may have a new subdivision coming up on a lake. Very few and far between, because at the end of the day, there are most of the lake land has been developed, right? And then how are you tracking your system, right? If you're looking to build a database of builders in Command or whatever CRM you're using, what is the tag you have for builders, right? Are you tagging them based on what they're building, right? And these are the different tags I would have for builders. So I would have one tag for builder, and then I would have another tag for each one of the types. Then this is the information you want. No different than what we talk about with a health score of 80%. You want the company name, the key people to reach out to, contact information, emails, phone numbers, and then mailing addresses. What current projects do they have going on? What's their typical construction timeline? I have some builders that it takes them a year to build a house, and I have other builders that it's 3 to 4 months, and I have some builders that are 6 months. So what is the timeline of their building? Because that's going to, based on what your buyer's needs are, that's an important thing to know about the builder. What price ranges? What is the compensation structure, right? At the end of the day, do they agree to pay an agent? And what are the agent requirements? How do they prefer to be communicated with? And then what's the level of relationship? Are you just starting it where it's like a 1 or a 2? Or have you been in relationship with them for 5, 10 years and it's a 10, you're just waiting for that next opportunity? Then you're going to track each development, right? And this is, again, this is if one of your priorities in your business plan is to specifically work with new construction, then you're going to also have for each development, what's the project name and address, number of units, price ranges and square footage, what's their styles and floor plans, standard features and upgrades, HOA fees, school districts, construction status and completion dates. All of this information, if you're focusing on new construction for each development, you're going to want this. And you're going to want to keep it because what's going to end up happening is in 5 to 6 years, there's probably going to be an opportunity for resale. So you may not get the first sale, but you can absolutely get the second resale.
I guess you can farm the shit out of those buyers 2 years in, 3
100%.
once a
people do
month
it all
for
the time.
8 years. Like,
In my
also,
opinion,
30 of them, you know what I mean? It's not like there's 6,000.
yeah, it's a lot easier to sell a 2022 house than it is to sell a 1900 house.
Yeah.
So you're 100% correct, 100%. Some real-time inventory tracking, right? How many lots are available? What are the floor plans? Is there any pre-construction opportunities? And that's the reservations, right? Are they move-in ready? Are there, how many pending sales? You're now becoming an expert in new construction. Is there a waiting list? Is there seasonal availability patterns, right? Like at the end of the day, we all live in New England, right? I know in the state of Maine, if that foundation is not in the ground by the end of October, early November, it's probably not going to be until the weather thaws again and we get through mud season. Then what's the timeline from research and identify? Okay, so this is where we build the plan. So if your goal is to find new construction and have that be part of your business plan, you're going to find 25 areas, target sites, whether they're single units or subdivisions, and you're going to, over the course of the next month or two, visit each one of those sites. You're going to find out who the builders are and who the relationship is, and you're going to build the relationship. You're going to conduct 12 to 15 site visits, complete remaining site visits and follow-up meetings. And then you're going to specialize in marketing. You're going to develop expertise, presentation, and client materials. And that's what we started right here, right? Like at the end of the day, we started with, okay, what is the subdivision that we're talking about? And we talked about Rockwell Landing, and it had pictures up here. Then it had, okay, what is it? What's the pricing and the build out? What's the location and neighborhood benefit? What's the investment and pricing? Buyer appeal, agent takeaways, final thoughts, right? Then we went down here and we said, okay, build a pitch. So it built the pitch for us when we go talk to the builder, and then it gave us a brief 14-day launch plan. And then an optional support lines you can use, right? Buyers will pay a premium for location. Then there's follow-up. But then what I asked it to do is build the 14-day builder listing presentation. So here's what it told me to do: finalize professional photography and videography. So if I was talking to a builder and they're like, okay, what are you going to do for me? Here is your layout. And we've only been on this call for like 47 minutes. We've gone over the whole process, and then we've actually built a plan for a subdivision that's currently on the market, which we cannot solicit. However, go to town hall or city hall and find out who's pulling permits for subdivisions and get in there before another agent does and build this exact same thing. Okay. Any questions about that?
No. I
Yes,
feel
it
like
is.
I take
Work.
this recording and put it next to and like pause it and do it for myself and pause it and do it for, you know what I mean? And then like have something created that isn't get lost on my desktop.
Yeah.
And then I can go put on my website like new construction specialist. And then even if people look me up, it's there, because right now there's none of that.
Right.
Like there's
100%.
construction management, there's project management, but there isn't new construction anything because I've never done it. So it's like, oh God, if somebody asked me, I'd be screwed. I don't feel screwed right now. I feel like I could at least fake it till I make it and give me 47 minutes to find a makeup plan.
Right. So here is your
Oh,
goal.
no.
So how do you know you're being successful? Like, to your point, you have to be an expert, which means you need to know the content. So 25 site visits, 15 builder relationships, 50 available properties to track, 10 pre-construction opportunities identified, and 5 new construction listings secured. Like that, in the perfect world, if your goal is to become a new construction expert, this is how you know you have succeeded. And it's a process to learn. You're not going to learn it in 5 minutes. And anything that I've said that you need more detail for, either talk to somebody who's done a ton of new construction or use AI, right? Information has never been easier. And my class would never be a class if I did not give you AI ideas. So here's your AI powered strategies for new construction success. Market intelligence and research, right? So AI tools these are the AI tools you use. Perplexity for real time. This is specific to new construction. So here is your first one. Analyze the Connecticut new construction market for builders focused on 400 to 600 price range. What are the key differentiators in current market conditions? So there is your first prompt. The next one is create a comprehensive profile of the builder's name, including their project history, typical timelines, and competitive advantages in the Connecticut market. Generate questions to ask builders about their 2025 construction pipeline incentive programs. Okay, communication and relationship building. AI can help you with your email or optimization, proposal generation, and meeting preparation. What are the prompts? And these are samples. Once you build these sample prompts, other things will come up. To your point, client education and content creation, right? Data analysis. Here's how to analyze the seasonal patterns in Connecticut new construction. I'm just going to do this one because I think this one is intriguing, right? I love this one because it literally says analyze the seasonal patterns in Connecticut new construction incentives and identify the best times for buyers to negotiate. Well, let's see what it says. Create a scoring system to rank new construction communities based on local location, amenities, builder reputation, and value. Compare the construction timeline of top 5 builders in Fairfield County and identify potential delays or advantages. I like this one too. But let's do a different county because I know you guys aren't Fairfield County. So I'm going to take this. Okay. So now it's still giving me my answer. Seasonal trends in new construction incentives. Incentive level between December and February are high. Best time to negotiate. Why? Builders want to close out fiscal years or quarters, right? Typical incentives, free appliances or upgrade packages, discounted rate buy downs or builder paid points, 10,000 closing cost assistance, right? Spring, March, low to moderate, summer, moderate. And this is why. So when you're talking to a new construction buyer, having this information is hugely important. And then fall, September, November, moderate to high. Builder behavior and trends, best time for buyers to negotiate in Connecticut. December through February, ask for price cuts, full upgrade closing cost bundle, right? October through November, focus on rate buy downs and moving conditions. Do you see how having this information will help you represent a buyer better with the builder? And then this one here, we're going to change this. We're going to change this to Hartford County. So the next one said, compare the construction timelines of let's do top 5 builders in Hartford County and identify potential delays or advantages. And I have no idea what it's going to say, but it's going to go look up at the internet and it's going to find out in nanoseconds everything that would take us hours of our life to figure out. So Prime Homes Inc., custom and production homes, 7 months from permit to move in for production. Advantages, potential delays. Spaces LLC, Sunwood Development, Connecticut Valley Homes. And each one of these, it gives you their positives and negatives. So if you're working with a buyer and they're looking at 3 different builders, here's all the information you need on each one of those builders. And you can add builders that you know to this mix as well. If a builder they're interviewing wasn't on the list, you can absolutely add them. Here's your lead gen and marketing ideas. automation to do that. Create a standardized site visit checklist for luxury new construction develops in Connecticut. How many of you would like to work with luxury buyers? This is a great opportunity to get in with luxury buyers, right? Generate a monthly relationship maintenance plan for my top 10 builder contacts. Develop a systematic approach to tracking and comparing builders' incentives. Here's your tools and resources, professional development, and then monthly maintenance, because everything takes maintenance. What are you gonna do each month to make it happen? And then what's your expected return on investment of time and money? And what competitive advantages do you have by knowing all of this information? So this piece here, what I love about this piece is if you were doing marketing to people that were looking for new construction, what you end up getting from that is people who are like, okay, in order for us to do X, Y, and Z, we need to be first to market knowledge. Well, if you did all of this homework, you're now going to be first to market knowledge. All right. Thoughts, questions?
You may have gone over this in the beginning when I wasn't here, and I apologize for my tardiness.
No worries.
Thank you. So when it comes to like single family homes and someone who is like looking for a fresh plot of land, like what does that process look like?
So obviously the first place you look is the MLS, just that's the easiest way to get it. After that, I go to the town hall. And actually, so let me just see real quick. Share my screen. In my opinion, this is the easiest way to do it. So there's this program called RPR. Are you familiar with it?
Yes, I am. RPR is awesome.
Yes, it is.
I finally played with it for the first time yesterday since like you and I did like a letter thing a year ago and everything was broken.
Okay. So when you go into your MLS, you just click on RPR. Now in here, so you want to find exclusively land. So I go property type. I uncheck these boxes. And I just check land. Actually, I'm going to go to more filters. Is there a specific land size or do you not care?
I don't care. This is just for educational purposes.
Okay, so give me, I will do Glastonbury. So I'm gonna say, okay, now give me all of the land. And I'm gonna uncheck these two boxes because I don't want the land that is listed. I want all of the lots and lands, and then I'm gonna update search. So there are 570 pieces of land. And these are usually all commercial, or large subdivisions. But let's just look at this one, right? This one here is 70 Brookview. That one just closed. So this one just closed, but this is how I would pull it up. And I pay attention to close date. And I just hit next until I find what I want. You know what this does? This actually, I'm going to go back here to more filters. I'm going to say I want people that have owned the land since 2019. So I'm going to say anyone that has owned land 01, 2000 to 12/31/2019. And the reason why I do that.
Labeled as land if they have built on it.
No, I don't think so. I think it only.
Well,
works-
no, these are just lots.
So
They would
even
not
if
have
they
built on
bought
them.
the lot in 2019, do we know if they built on it between 2019 and 2025?
This is public record information.
Okay.
So it would not be recognized as a lot land if it had a house on it.
Okay.
Yeah. So now
And
there's
then
a
at the bottom too, I think at the bottom, it does give you like a time frame that you can pick, like the ownership type. It's like
Yeah.
already broken into categories. But if we want to get specific, then we would use what she put in, like the date, the to and from part.
Yeah. What intrigues me is these guys here, like, these are all these have to be commercial for them to cost what they cost. However, this one here, that is 8.5 acres or 8.85 acres. If this isn't commercial, is this subdividable, right? And if so, is 1.4 realistic, right? But I would go down here, here's your lots, right? 201 Lexington Road is a 5,227 square foot lot. And it was sold for 415 in 2016. Right, so these are all just different lots, and if you needed something that was less expensive, you would just go in and you would do your filters. And do
Fun
price point.
fact, in Glastonbury, if it has 10 acres or more, you can shoot on it and hunt on it. So a lot of people look, if they have more than 10 acres, they're using it for recreational reasons and they're less
Yep.
likely to get rid of it because it's like rare to have it.
Yeah, and the other thing, so this is what you're talking about, timed owned, right? I would absolutely use time owned. I like to go in and put like just time frames just because. But to your point, I have a agent that I'm coaching right now who is going after land, and his letter says two things. I support landowners that have one of two desires. The desire number one is they don't want it subdivided and built on. They want it kept, used for exactly what you said, family use. And the other is they would love to see it built on or don't care if it's built on. And that literally, because here's the deal, people don't sell land because their goal is for it to never be built on. So instead of having that mindset of, well, you don't want to build on it, so we're not going to put it on the market, we either put in the deed that the property can never be built on, or we put it on something along the lines of, here's the letter, I'll show it to you right now. We put it out there that they're willing, there is no limitation, or there is a limitation. They want to see somebody buy it that's going to live in there, that's going to live on the property and not sell it. And this is Sean Cody's letter, who is actually the land ambassador for the New England region. So he literally wrote, if you ever considered selling your land, why now may be the right time to sell. And he says record high demand, limited inventory, strong market prices. For investment-minded owners, your land is likely appreciated significantly. Now may be the optimal time to realize those goals. For conservation-minded owners, I can connect you with buyers who share the values and will preserve the land's character. Right? So having that letter, if you're going after landowners to make them subdividable, or if you're going after, you have buyers that want just a large parcel of land, that helps both.
Okay, thank you for that.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, any other thoughts, questions?
Quickly, you mentioned the affordable housing. That falls in line with like, we were talking about some of the values and principles and stuff of like our business, and like I mentioned you, like a long-term goal of being able to fund and support single income households and There's a few of them that exist around here, but they're really hard to get into. There's not enough.
Right.
If we were gonna try to target that, but it doesn't exist yet. Like, how do we, before, like, this isn't a builder who already wants to do this on a grant level, on a state level, how do we even begin the process of trying to figure out what that looks like?
I would familiarize yourself with the government side of it. Like if a builder wanted to develop affordable housing, what are all the hoops and loops and everything else so I would go to your
The incentive, if people are willing to pay $700,000, you know what I mean, versus affordable housing where the units are 200 and 250 maximum a piece, like.
So I'm just going to put in here, how do I find the resources to create affordable housing developments in Hartford County, Connecticut? Because I don't know the answer to that question. I mean, I remember probably 2004-ish. There were a lot of people that were doing affordable housing and they jumped through so many hoops to get there. But here,
Yeah, it's not fun.
Identify funding sources, federal and state funding programs, right? Connecticut Housing Financing, low-income housing credit. So this is the big one right here. And that's what in Maine, when we worked on a couple of those projects, it was a low-income housing tax credit that they did that really helped them want to do it because they were in a high tax bracket because they had other investments. And this circumvented some of those tax fees. And then pre-development loans, tax exempt bonds, gap financing, and here's a website. Tip, start with CHFA's developers section to review guidelines and apply for tax credits. Then you have the Connecticut Department of Housing. Then you have HUD programs. And then here's your build strategic partnerships, right? Local partnerships. So here's your whole process.
Yeah. Mm,
But
Okay.
again, this is a project, and the problem that comes into play is the cost of the land and the cost of the material. That's the problem. Like, in today's market specifically, I could speak of Maine. In today's market in Maine, because of the cost of land and the cost of materials, those tax cuts aren't strong enough.
I mean, I hesitate to get political, but with things that are going on right now, there's a lot of people that are really just like stopping anything. It's very democratic because it may not exist. Like I have people that work for the Connecticut Disability Services Center and their entire department is at risk of getting fired. 24 people that serve every person with a disability in the state of Connecticut who gets benefits for anything, housing, their social security, job placement, job coaching, medication support, in-house care, like they provide resources and like help maintain that. There's only 24 for the whole state, and they like have been told like they may be laid off in the next 30 days.
Yep.
It's like
I
very,
just sent
very
you,
concerning. It's like when you think of like anything, it's like the project, this is a necessity, but it's giving back. Good chances it's going to be nearly impossible to do that right now. So like the risk factor for somebody who's investing in that, if they think they're gonna get these tax write-offs and they think they're gonna get these things and in the middle of their project, they can get pulled. Well, that changes the game for them. I don't anticipate people being like, yeah, let's maybe risk a lot of money and not get what
Yeah.
we're thinking we're gonna get for it.
And I will say, if that's something that you're passionate about, get knowledgeable of it now. And when the time is right, then do it. I sent you, and if you want to share with people in the room, I sent you the AI link to everything that we just did.
Yeah. Thank you.
And that way, especially because I've worked with you, I know how passionate it is for you to work with the affordable housing side of things. Even
I
if
just
you,
make $200 million. I'm gonna make $200 million in all these new builds for the next 5 years, and then I'm gonna build my own.
exactly.
Single,
Well, so, and that's where I was gonna go. My next statement to you was just go buy a bunch of land and hold it until the opportunity shows up. Like, if you're thinking about what does your future business plan look like, how do you make enough money that you pay all your bills, have the life by design, and in addition to that, buy land. Because the one thing that's not going to be more of is land. Once it's built on, it's built on. You're either going to tear something down, and then you have the cost of tearing it down to rebuild something else, right? So land is only land until it's no longer land, and they're not making any more of it.
yeah.
And I was just on a call last night. We were talking about like all of the natural disasters. There's going to be land that's just not available, right? Like Arizona, and I think I said that, I don't know if I said it on this call or a different call. Arizona, the temp was 130 degrees for a couple of days in Arizona, right? New Mexico and North Carolina and Texas just had massive flooding. Those areas are no longer, people aren't going to build there because they're not insurable. So land is being squeezed out. So the more you can purchase land, the more opportunity you have.
Yeah.
All right. Any other thoughts, questions around this?
You're the bomb.
I second that.
So I'm going to open this up to general Q&A. Unrelated to new construction, where do you need support and help?
So I'm kind of like diving back into the business after life happened. So I'm really like rebuilding all my systems. I would literally consider myself a new agent, so I'm just going through all the processes. Um, so where do I need help? I should probably just join productivity coaching.
Productivity.
Yeah, I'm
That's
like
gonna be
that.
my thing.
I'm like you're the
Productivity
like I
coaching
should
for-
probably just do that.
Yeah,
It'll pay
reach
for
out to MJ.
Well, I was in it when Darren was here, so it's not like I'm opposed, like, I don't wanna pay for it, like, it's not anything
No.
like that.
But even more so, I used her as my maps coach for a bit. She's even more productive. Darren's great, I love him, but
Yeah.
like even more because of the AI, because of solutions, because the speed of things, like it's just, it doesn't make sense not to.
Yeah, and so here's the deal. Reach out to MJ, get reconnected to go to, what's your name?
Tanisha,
Okay. I have seen your name. Yes, we.
yeah, I'm
It's time
around,
for
just,
us- It is time for us to connect. So here's the deal. Get yourself situated with coaching, and then what we'll do is we'll build your business plan, right? Because at the end of the day, it's a simple system. It's just not easy to run. And Rosemary, you will agree, right? The real estate is simple. It's just not easy to run it the way you
I'm
need to.
still not doing it and I know better.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm getting better, but like it's a process.
Yeah, so the first thing we'll do is we'll figure out what your life allocation form is. Like, what is your life by design money? How much money do you need to make to survive? And then how much money do you need to run the business? All that equivalates up to, okay, I need to make X amount of money in GCI before taxes. Then we figure in your taxes. Based on that, we know how many units you have to do. And to be completely honest with you, like it's all math. Everything we do is math. What we'll do is we'll say, okay, in order for you to make, let's just say easy math, $200,000. In order to do $200,000, if your average commission is $10,000, that means that you have to do 20 transactions, right? So to do 20 transactions, we'll do the math. How many people do you need in your database? How many lead generation conversations do you need to have? And then when you list a property, how do you get 2 additional pieces of business for every listing? And we'll put a plan and model based on your personality. Because if we do it based on somebody else and how somebody else operates, you're not going to get it, because it has to be based on who you are and who you want to be. Go ahead.
For me, like the big goals in life allocation were all like fun to see. By fun, I mean I had panic attacks. Like, it was hard to see it, but now when it's like, okay, I have 30 days to do X amount, or I have 90 days to do X amount. I need 11. I know that my goal is 11 transactions between July 1 and September 30th, under contract, not closed, under contract, 11. The reason is 11 is because fuck the life allocation form, which is fine. But at this moment, I was like, okay, here's what I did I had 16 transactions so far this year. But I'm getting a divorce. My roof caved in. I have this. He didn't pay for childcare. All these things. But okay, so now what's my new one? So the big goal was the goal, but then life happened. And then I'm like redirected by all the responsibility. And I was like, oh, nope. I'm like, what will solve the problem? Money. Okay, how do I get money? Well, then 30% of my clients are deaf or hard of hearing. 60% of my business total was deaf, hard of hearing, or deaf adjacent, meaning they're referrals. So I got as many referrals as I had clients last year. So I'm like, okay. So next week, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I'm calling every single one of the deaf clients I've ever worked with, and anybody else who's reached out to me, and anybody else who I've meant to reach out to and I didn't, who are deaf, on FaceTime in my office, signing and giving as much time as those conversations need. Because they're applying to their calls, right? Sometimes
Right.
you like 3 minutes, 5 minutes, and they encourage you. Deaf population is it's different. It's like going to church and the old grandmas. You don't rush
Right.
them, right?
Because you built the rapport and it's like, okay, I understand this is sensitive. It's like,
Yep.
I get it.
Yeah, I gotta give them the time that they need. And sometimes I hesitate on those calls because I got an appointment at 11:30 or I got another one at 1. So I'm like, no, for 3 days I have booked no appointments. Everything has been put in the front end or the back end, and I'm going to call them because I know the data has shown me that those are gonna be the thing that's gonna give me probably the quickest referral and the quickest business. So I'm like, okay, if I need 11, I have 2.5. One's out for offer. I think we're gonna get it. So I have 2 right now, maybe 1 more by the end of today. I need 8 more, which I'm like, okay, shit. I got the first 3 in the first 5 days of setting the new goal, basically. Like they were under contract by the 5th. And then the other offer is out. So I'm like, all right, cool. So when I hit the 11, say I hit the 11 August 1st, cool, I have a lot more, which I won't, but never mind, maybe
Yeah,
I
I
will.
was like, girl, what?
Yeah.
You
You
yourself.
can't do it. I'm just,
Well,
I'm-
and to your point, Rosemary,
I'll
Um,
do either one, but I'm trying to focus on the data that I did with you has showed me which activities give me the most work, and that's where I'm focusing my attention because I'm in a crunch. 'Cause I
well,
gotta
here's the deal. I knew in my business for every 17 conversations with the people that know me, like me, and know how to refer me, for every 17 conversations, I would get one opportunity, right? I knew for every 40 people I talked to that were for sale by owner, expired, open house, for every 40, I would get one opportunity. And I knew for every 100 cold conversations, I would get 1 or 2 opportunities. So I knew wholeheartedly the only
160 calls a day. You do like if I know that, if I know one of those is gonna hit, I'm gonna be staying on the phone until I get it. Like,
Yeah, well, that's the other part. You don't get off the phone until you get it.
yeah.
But if you don't have your life by design, the reason why I do life by design, and I agree with Rosemary completely.
I like it. It just freaks me. It just scared me. It was
Yeah,
cool.
but I
Ollie
agree with
loved
you.
it. Scared the shit out of me.
Yeah. I have some goals that were not goals 3 months ago that were not on my life by design that now are. So very much like Rosemary, like that number, I know every time I do X, I get an opportunity, right? And then I put so let's say it's a $10,000 professional fee. So that $10,000, I've already allocated that money to something. Right. So that's the piece. Like when you know where the money goes and you know why the money goes there, that keeps you motivated to keep taking action. But if you don't have the why, and I know Rosemary's why because I've been with her for a bit, if you don't know the why and you don't have somebody that's hustling you, like, well, you told me this was important. What's changed? Is that not important anymore? Like that's a right to the heart. So that's the piece. Number one, what do you need to know to run your business? And number two, how do you stay accountable to it? Because it's really easy to fall off of the accountability.
Agreed.
Yeah. So reach out to MJ and then you and I get on a calendar and we'll build your 411 and your GPS and we'll really get to understand why you're doing this and what's important about it. Are you dual career right now?
No.
Okay, so you're full-time real estate?
You can lead in on Zoom.
Okay.
Do like digital office and stuff. Like if you want to do some
Open
once
to
or twice a
both.
week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Open to both.
Just it doesn't hurt to like get when you're getting started again. Be like, all right, I gotta get like
In the office.
in the groove.
Yeah.
Yeah, whether it's in the office or just online with somebody else, and you're like, all right, we both doing what we gotta do right now.
Right.
Well,
It's-
yeah. And Monday, Wednesday, Friday, we do conversations at 8 a.m. And then
So I
there's
was gonna ask about that because I see the emails that you send out about the productivity coaching, and I wasn't sure like if you actually have to formally be a part of the program to jump on those Zoom calls or whether or not it's just
you can hop in.
okay. I mean, I'm
And-
gonna join anyway, but
Yeah. You can absolutely hop in if you want me to support you at a higher level, then join productivity coaching.
okay. Okay. I'm gonna do that.
All right. Reach out to MJ. I'll send a message to MJ that you're going to be reaching out. And then, yeah, just hustle.
Okay.
We'll get you where you want to go. I just need to know where you want to go. And then we're going to do the math on how to get you there. And then once I know that, forget it. Doggone bone. We got you.
Okay.
All right. What else you got? Any other thoughts or questions? If not, I'm going to let you go lead generate.
I have to go.
Have fun. Thanks. It was great seeing you. I missed you. I'll see you all soon. Thanks for coming and hanging out with me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll be talking to you
I got
soon.
listing photos in an hour, and it's a single man, therefore he probably needs some.
Yes. Make sure that toilet cover is down. Drives
I
me
was
crazy.
literally gonna say the toilet's probably out.
See you all later.
Have
Bye.
a great one.
You too.
No disrespect to the single guys, you just don't see the.
So you gotta feel